And I'm gonna quote my favorite politician of all times, but as Jack Kennedy said when he was president, he said, the best form of welfare is still a good, high-paying job, period. There is no alternative to economic growth and production for alleviating poverty. Benjamin Hooks put it beautifully when he said, blacks are hired last and fired first. The only way blacks are ever going to get jobs and keep jobs is those damn many jobs out there, they got to be hired. And there is no substitute for economic growth for creating prosperity in America. What Steve talked about countries, it's a no-brainer. It's a rope-a-dope mistake these people don't get. If you have two locations, A and B, if you raise taxes in B and lower them in A, producers, manufacturers, and people are going to move from to. If you raise taxes in the United States and you lower taxes in India and China and the rest of the world, jobs, output, employment, production, and profits are going to move from to. And it's already happening. It's happening as fast as you can imagine. What Steve said about money supply is so obvious. It's so true. What he told you about the monetary base going way up, it's just Econ 1. It's Econ 1. And yet I have to debate all of these professors, from Bernanke to Blinder to Krugman, all of these guys on, because they can think of some pathological example where this might not be true. Let me give you the example. If you have a bumper crop in apples, if there's a huge increase in the supply of apples, what happens to the price and the value of each apple? It goes down. If you have a bumper crop in the production of money, if the Fed increases the monetary base by 137% and increases reserves of the banking system 20-fold, what do you think is going to happen to the value of the dollar over time? I don't care what any professor at Princeton tells me. It's going to go down unless they reverse these policies. I could go on and on in this, but the last one I want to just say with you here is really basic. Have you ever heard of a poor person who has spent himself or herself into prosperity? Is that not the dumbest thing you have ever heard in your life? And the reason it's dumb is because it really is dumb. You know, you guys have the high road. You not only are the purveyors of truth, you've got the academic high road as well. These people who may be professors at Harvard and Princeton and MIT, they may have the academic positions, but you have the correct academics. You are much more in line with the research of generations of real economists. You are not mistaken in what you believe. You should not feel small or feel put off by the fact that you don't have a PhD and don't teach at one of these universities. You're right and they are wrong on academics. And you're also correct on the data. Steve Moore and I, with a fellow friend of ours, Peter Tanis, wrote the book, The End of Prosperity. What we tried to do in that book was to give you example after example and tried to make it comprehensive. We tried to give you example after example of what has happened when governments have done this, that, or the other, both on the upside and on the downside, both here and abroad, on states as well. You compare Texas with California, it's a no-brainer on that one. I mean, I moved from California to Tennessee. Now, can any of you tell me what the highest tax rate is in Tennessee? 0! I wonder, did I mention that Tennessee has no income tax? Did I mention that any? But what we tried to do in that, but let me give you the current one. If you want a real-time example, the Obama administration has some very good economists on their staff. One of them I like very much. I was going to do a book with him if he hadn't been accepted as the chief economist for Joe Biden, is a guy named Jared Bernstein. Jared Bernstein is a very good economist. I mean, good in the sense of a fine, honest man. He's wrong on every issue, but he's a fine, honest man. And Christina Romer, who is the head of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, they did a paper when this administration was coming in. And what they did on the front page of that paper, They had a plot, and that plot had the path of the economy, the path of unemployment, with no stimulus package, and then they had the path of the unemployment rate with our stimulus package. It was their forecast of what the economy would do without a stimulus package and what it would do with their stimulus package. We are now well into the numbers. If you look at the numbers today, you can track exactly how we're doing relative to what they said should be done without the stimulus package and with the stimulus package. What has happened is the economy is far, far worse than they ever thought it could possibly be, even without the stimulus package. You know, when you look at all of this, I want to leave you with a piece of good hope, and I mean this very seriously, is when this experiment, when this conflagration is finally ended and there is no fuel left for them to burn, when the process ends, and it will end. When the process ends, we can reverse all of their policies and bring America back to prosperity in a weekend. It does not take long. And I mean that very seriously. We denationalized companies in Chile, 2,500 a weekend. Working with Lady Thatcher, we got rid of the nationalized coal industry, the nationalized iron industry, the nationalized railroad industries in no time at all. I worked very closely with Keith Joseph back then. You can denationalize. You can do with tax rates the opposite of what they do with tax rates very, very quickly. All of these things, you can sell off the auto industry, you can sell off the drug industry, you can sell off the mortgage industry, you can sell off the insurance industry, you can sell off the banking industry, you can sell off the investment banking industry. Did I mention all the ones they've nationalized so far? But you can do those very quickly. You know, when you look at what's going on, this is not an issue of personalities. It is not an issue of bad guys, good guys. It's not. This is an issue of basic, simple economics. It's form versus substance. And let me tell you, we have the substance. They may have the form today, but we have the substance. I used to tease the real president. You all don't mind me referring to him as the real president, do you? You know what I mean. Ronnie. I used to tease him that I used to tell him, I said, sir, at the university, I want to tell you that as my position as an academic and professor, that it is my professional judgment, sir, that you are a certifiable genius. But I've also got to tell you, sir, that some of my colleagues at the university are not overly impressed with your intellectual acumen. In fact, sir, most of my colleagues don't think you're very smart at all. But the one thing my colleagues and I do agree on is that your one unique characteristic is your uncanny ability to select your four predecessors. Anyone following in the heels of Johnson, Nixon, Ford, and Carter just can't look bad. Our day is coming, and it's coming soon. Thank you very much.